Cool. Is it recording on your side?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's just begin. What's up, everyone? I'm Derek, and I'm the co-founder of the Hacker Collective. And the Hacker Collective, in short, is basically a place where people come together, train their hacker mindsets, and achieve common goals together. So, be it to self-learn a new skill, to start freelancing and monetizing your skill sets, or or to launch a product and start onboarding users, right? We believe learning new things or building new ventures don't need to cost a bomb, especially when you have like-minded people coming together and making it their goal to achieve it together. And this series that we're doing now is really for people to share their journey transparently, where newcomers come to engage and learn from the examples that we're doing here. And hopefully, we are able to inspire more people to make bold decisions to make the plunge and bring themselves from where they are now to where they want to be. So if your goals are in line with ours, come just check out this video, come and join us, and we would like to hear your story too. All right. So yeah, without further ado, our guest today, I'm just gonna do a short intro for you, Michael. Our guest today is Michael, and Michael is a game developer from Philippines and a community member of ours who stumbled upon us, I think it was half a year ago, in hopes of transitioning his career from a game developer into a web developer. And he has a really interesting story. I think it's really cool. And that's why I invited Michael on board for this sharing session. And today's interview is really all gonna mainly be about Michael's story and how he did it himself. Cool. So Michael, why don't you start sharing about yourself?
Okay. So hey guys, I'm Michael. You can also call me MJ, either which is fine. I'm a game developer for 2 years, and I do some indie games on the side when I feel like it. And I'm currently a web developer for the Hacker Collective. So my journey started when I actually stumbled upon THC randomly. I didn't know why it hit an ads on my side, but I think I was searching for like how to do web development at that time because I was currently interested in learning new tech. And yeah.
What about your backgrounds? Before you met, let's talk about like go way back. From uni. What did you do in uni? Before uni, what was your plans?
So I actually had no plans before. I just randomly got into like 1 year of psychology, but
Okay.
then I actually shifted to game development since I found this school in the Philippines, which there were a lot of schools offering game development. I just went for it since I loved gaming, and since I am an only child and I
Okay.
really just went love computer games and console games at that time.
Really?
So I made
Okay.
my
So,
journey.
oh, okay. So actually, you started off from a psychology, which is an arts background, and then you decided to just go into game development.
Hmm.
Wow, that's interesting. Would you say you didn't know what you wanted to do? Like, why do you even choose to go uni in the first place?
Well, I guess it's pretty much a requirement here in the Philippines because a lot of companies won't hire you if you aren't a graduate of any 4 year course, or
Mm.
it's really hard to find a job any elsewhere.
So would you say it's really the whole what the biggest reason why you actually did uni is to secure yourself a job, to have that safety net that that you'll get a job at the end of the day, right? Would that be your answer?
I guess so. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So tell us about it. How did you even get the idea to transition your career? 4 years in game development, that's not a short stint. That's like 4 years of your life. Well, how do you even get this idea?
I guess you could call it 6 years of my life since 4 years
Really?
of school and 2 years of working.
Oh shit. Okay, 6 years of your life. Okay.
Yeah. Um, to be honest, it was a small reason why I got interested into web development is because I was interested in looking for a side hustle. I was researching on how to create websites, and I really want to create my own website rather than use any third parties like I'm not sure if I should call it third parties or I mean platforms like Shopify and
Oh,
WordPress.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to create like a K-pop store for the Philippines because
Oh,
there are a
damn.
lot of K-pop stores, and I'm really interested in
So that's
K-pop.
really what what sparked your interest in web
Hmm.
development, you would say so. Okay. But if you wanted to go into freelancing or making money online, well, why didn't you go do something related to game development?
I think what concerns me in game development, it's what makes it different in web development is game development's really not a one-man team. It really composes of different peoples, especially since it's a game, it's a visual side. You need to coordinate with a lot of people, game designers, game artists, and of
Yeah.
course there are also multiplayer stuff. In case that you're creating multiplayer stuff, you also need to have another set of developers for that one. So, but then again, I only create 2D stuffs for my last work,
Mm.
so I
Okay.
couldn't really think of myself going to freelance game development.
I see. I see. I didn't know. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that game development requires like a big team, like way bigger than web,
Yeah.
I would assume, right? It's way bigger. Cool, man. So what are you currently working on? Maybe you can share some of the projects that you're working on at work right now.
So I had a shot at working on this project called Startup Forest. So it's a venture site that you can get investors. You can actually get investors from, and you can also look through ideas. And also, I'm working on a project called Menu Base,
Okay.
which we call this God app that, that you can check invoices. You can add invoices and do some other stuff, which we'll reveal
Automate the
sometime later.
you're automating the on invoice processing flow, basically, right?
Yeah.
Wait, then Michael, just so what are you doing at work? Like, yeah, I know you're working in these apps, right? But what's your role?
Okay. Since I'm mostly of coder side, I'm not really good at the art side. I took a shot at back-end development.
Okay.
So I do databases and coordinate with the front end.
Cool, cool. What's your current tech stack? If you were to build an app right now, right? What would your standard go-to tech stack be?
Before I think I would say it's MEVN, since I learned that because I think MongoDB is the easiest way to get into backend development.
Wait, sorry. Let's dumb it down a little bit. What is MEVN?
MEVN basically stands for MongoDB, Express.js, Vue.js, and Node.js. Those are the technologies that you need to learn to go to backend development, as well as I think Vue.js for the front end. But I think what's more powerful than MongoDB is Postgres, PostgreSQL, and GraphQL. Since also I think Facebook and Netflix also uses GraphQL.
Mm.
So I think I would swap out Postgres for MongoDB.
You will swap out Postgres for MongoDB.
Yeah, I mean I would swap out MongoDB for
MongoDB for
Postgres.
Postgres. Yep, yep. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. It's because that's the tech stack you're using for menu base and all that, right?
Hmm.
Currently, right? Cool, man. So currently, as a backend developer, you're handling multiple projects, right? Like
Hmm.
because we found this really cool technology, PostgreSQL, that really allows you to automate most of this backend development. What do you think about this? Working on multiple projects at once, being the go-to backend guy that sorts all this out. What do you think about it?
At first it was really pressuring because okay, you're creating two different backends which does two different things. So at first it gets really confusing, but I guess documentation really is important for those two things and really remembering what each route or each function does. So it was really interesting learning a lot of new things and getting around new APIs and how different technologies actually handle their project. It's really interesting to learn.
Cool, man. Um, Wait, maybe you can share a bit again. How did you learn up web development? Your journey, your whole journey. Yeah.
Oh, I learned of web development through this hypo class with the Hacker Collective. Um, I thought it would be really hard to get into web development since I only knew a little bit because it was taught in university.
Oh,
But I
okay.
only did like Adobe Dreamweaver, which is drag and drop web
Oh,
development.
wow. Okay, 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 cool, cool. So that's
Yeah, so
was
I
that all you knew back then? Just Adobe Dreamweaver.
yeah, I didn't know much about backend stuff aside from CRM, which we used in my last work.
No, but let's talk, Hacker Collective aside. I know you joined the Hypergroups. Hypergroups is just FYI for the viewers, right? Hypergroups is our high performance learning groups where we bring groups, a small team of people together. Can see it like an accountability or a support group style where we have a mentor guiding these guys. This is where how Michael learned out web development. But on top of that, outside of that, was there any other thing that you did that really helped you skyrocket your growth? And how long did you learn, by the way, before you got your job?
I think the best way to learn is really Googling up stuff. Since I follow a lot of how should I call this? A lot of content creators on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Most of them post like the web developer roadmap or becoming a web developer in 1 year. So basically, those things really help me. Like, oh, I need to search up like this one for back end, this one up for front end, and I just really looked up a lot of tutorials and videos and to learn a lot of back end development.
A lot of effort, your own self
Mm-hmm.
effort put into it, right? Like no one can really hand this knowledge to you. It's more like something that you need to go out and look for it yourself, look for answers yourself, and then reach out to mentors yourself. Cool, man. So how's it like working remotely? Because since you're working for a Malaysian company, right?
Mm-hmm. Um, I thought it would be very hard to contact people since it's I have only just worked remotely for like 6 or 7 months because of COVID. I had a hard time collaborating with a lot of people back then in my previous work since I work closely with the designers and also the artists because I need feedback whether the art is enough for them since in game development optimization is really key
Okay.
for the performance. So I think I thought I would have like a difficult experience in transitioning to full remote work. But yeah, I don't think I'm having trouble right now since each and every person that I'm working with is really easy to reach out to, and they're really helpful with if I have a lot of issues regarding the DevOps and front end, which I don't really know that much.
Okay, cool, cool. So would you enjoy working remotely? I mean, if you had a choice, would you rather have like a nice Filipino team in Philippines with you?
I don't think it's much so about the race. I think it's more about the people you're working with. So I
Cool.
think if it's a different set of people, I'm not sure if whether we would get along or something like that. But I guess I really like the way that the people are treating me and
That's
how their personality really fits with mine.
That's good, man. That's awesome, man. So just wondering, right? A lot of people have been complaining about how COVID-19 is affecting their lives and their livelihood, their career, right? What about yourself? What are your thoughts on this? Has COVID-19 affected your career in any way?
I guess it did at first because there were a lot of transitioning happening, especially since we're like full on-site work or in the office. But I guess since my work from back then and also now considering it's pure um is pure on computer rather than paper or going out, I don't think it really matters that remote work is there, but I think which really matters is how you manage your time since it's remote. Like there's you can do anything you want, you can lie down, you can play games, you can do whatever. I think it all boils down on self-discipline, and if you really love your job, you can keep on exploring on issues
Cool,
that
man.
you're dealing with at work.
Yeah, glad to hear that, man. I mean, it's a very common problem. People slack a lot when it's remote, especially when you're given so much freedom, right? Like honestly, you just take your time. Cool, man. Any regrets going into web development from game development?
I don't I don't think there are any regrets, more like what ifs, because back then I didn't have like any let's say good mentor with, not a good mentor, I mean like a higher mentor which had a lot of experience in dealing with other stuff. More like we're like a team of developers that just keep on exploring new problems to solve. And but I think what would really pique my interest back then is if there's a mentor who actually worked on a lot of projects which I badly needed back then. I needed a mentor which had a lot of experience, and I didn't really know which path to take. And because there's no mentor, like if I'm not really sure if I'm doing my job real well, or those were the questions that I had in my mind back then, which I
Okay,
solve right now.
cool, cool. So would you say, out of the reason why you joined Hacker Collective, would you say one of the biggest reason would be mentorships, or what's that one thing that you joined us for back in the days, of course?
Mm, Back then it was just a trial. Like I was supposed to just try it out for 3 months or so. But then I really think that the mentorship thing really helped me push through with learning web development as a whole thing and then
Yeah,
transitioning.
and you were one of the guys who was like always going the extra mile. Like if we gave a small little challenge, then Michael will be the one who like makes it look very nice and goes the extra mile to do things properly, right? So that I think that added a lot of points for you as well when we decided to bring you on board into our team. So cool, man. Cool. So want to share with those who are watching as well. How's a typical day like for you? Working remotely as a developer.
The typical day basically just starts up with me being groggy and then waking up, then I guess starting up my computer. Then of course, I don't really go to work straight away. I mostly just try to keep myself awake and search for interesting stuff on YouTube and Facebook. And then of course work comes in and a lot of problems and issues arise. I think the interesting part of the day is collaborating with the team on how to solve these problems, and if they have issues too, of course I help them too. So the interesting part of my day is like googling and researching stuff to learn in terms of solving my problems at work.
Okay, cool, cool. So, what would that one thing be? If you had an advice, right? If you could go back in time, or if someone junior is telling you, "Hey, Michael, I'm a beginner and I want to hear one advice that I can have as a self-taught developer, right? I'm joining my adventure. I'm just going on this adventure to be self-taught, and I want one advice from you, Michael. What would that one closing advice be?"
I guess the biggest advice that I could give them is don't listen to people who says that this stack is bad. Don't listen to people who puts down what stack you're using. As long as you really get the job done and you really understand what you're using, I think that's the most powerful thing that you could do.
Awesome, and I agree with you completely. Yeah. Cool. I think just one or two more questions. What are your career goals in the future?
Career goals. I haven't put some thought into much thought into that, but I think I would really love if I could experience a lot of issues and problems to solve, because if the more issues I face, the more I can learn from them. So in the future, oh, so I've experienced this in the past, so this fix is easy.
So your career goals is to face more issues, and
Yeah,
of course become a better developer, right?
yeah.
Okay. Do you see yourself as more of a developer, like let's say 5 years down the line? Do you want to continue being a developer, the one coding away, building the things up, or do you see yourself in more of a managerial role where you manage people and you just coach the junior developers? What's your path like? your preference?
5 years, I think, let's say 3 to 4 years, I still would love to be a developer because I don't think I can be a good mentor if I don't experience all the coding stuff myself first. But I guess mentorship is really one of my ideas down the line for a career growth. I think it would be better if I could teach other people to code and like how to solve these problems since I've already encountered them before.
It's awesome, man. I like that energy. A lot of people always tend to think that, mentorships are a waste of time, which I completely disagree. And I'm glad you appreciate like being the mentor as well. Because for myself as well, when I was learning, right, I was self-taught, right? I was learning myself the whole time. And when I teach people, it really helped me fill up my gaps as well. And I'm glad you agree with it, man. Honestly, I'm glad you agree with it. And that's why, you did a lot of sharing sessions with our community members, and I hope you enjoyed them. Um, Cool, man. I think I don't have anything else that I want to ask. Is there anything you want to share, like a closing note?
Um, I think what really inspired me to join the Hacker Collective was first and foremost the mentorship, since it reminded me of my professor back in college. Since without him, I don't think I could really do much with game development because a lot of professors were like, YouTube this, YouTube that. Si-
Really? So you end
yeah,
up just doing YouTube in uni?
yeah, more like they copy pasted a lot of content, and uh I think that one professor really helped me since he doesn't really just show what the codes do. He really explains it. It really breaks it down. So the more you break it down, the more you understand it at the roots, then the more you can use it into other coding challenges that you face.
So your closing note
So
would be to truly know the core problem and solve it from that.
mhm.
Is that your closing note?
and
Cool.
and also find a good mentor.
Find a good mentor. Yeah, it's very important, right? Yep, yep. Awesome, man, Michael. Hey, thanks for sharing. I think that's all from me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And Michael, thank you so much for joining in and sharing your story. If anyone else has any stories that you guys want to share, just reach out to us and we would love to feature you on our next episode. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Michael. See you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.